There we
All
go.
good now.
Okay. And could you see my screen? Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another presentation on how you can use cloud-based tools and techniques to improve your direct mail campaigns, especially if you're trying to do so from outside the United States. This tends to be the fastest and most effective way to reach people using the mail. And when I talk about mail, I'm talking about real mail, USPS postal mail, not email, but letters, postcards, self-mailers, things like that. Which, as you'll find out, is still one of the most effective advertising tools available. So, can you hear me okay, Kyla? Can you see the screen? Everything look okay? What does everybody else think? Everything okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, good morning. And if you have questions or something along the way, just put them in the chat box. Kyla's watching for them, so we'll try and address those as we go along. And with that, we'll dive right in. Okay, so the service is called Zermail. You see Speedy there. Speedy will be on the journey along with us. So we'll learn more about Speedy as we go. So one of the questions that comes up is why direct mail? I mean, isn't it passe? Isn't direct mail going away? I mean, what about all the digital tools, like email and pay-per-click and social media and all of those things? I mean, how is direct mail even relevant? And the trick is that direct mail has always been an offering or a tool that's based on return on investment. And it still has some of the highest returns on investment in the industry, which is why direct mail continues to thrive even in a digital universe. And in fact, it turns out that direct mail can complement all of the digital stuff we're also working on, or all the digital tools we're also working with. Um, Really, it just becomes another tool in the portfolio of tools you might use to market. And it can be combined with, on social media and pay-per-click and search engine optimization and all the other things you might do. But there are some things that are specific to direct mail and some specific reasons why you might want to use this tool. First, direct mail can reach, or the mail can reach, every household and business in America 6 days a week. No other tool can do that, right? So if you need to reach out and touch, especially a consumer, direct mail turns out the mail is the most effective way to do that. Second is proactive communication. With a lot of tools, especially digital tools, you have to wait for people to come find you. You put up a website, you have to wait for people to find the website. Or maybe they'll, you do search engine optimization, and then somebody goes into the query engine, puts in your, a keyword that you've optimized for, and your website comes up. But that's still passive. You're still waiting for somebody to find you. With direct mail, well, I can identify those prospects and I can reach out and touch them. Thirdly, is this idea of precise audience targeting. So if I want to reach Jewish dentists in New Jersey that bought a car in the last 6 months, I can do that. Social media, um, other kinds of digital tools, not so much. It's really hard to get that level of specificity or to get transaction-oriented information. I can give you another example. We worked on a school bond measure here in the local area. And so we were able to buy the voter file, so get a file of all the people that are registered to vote. And then it was a bond measure. And here in Oregon, where we're located, bond measures are paid for through property taxes. So if you're a property owner, you'll pay, for that bond. So we were able to take the voter file, divide it between property owners and not property owners. This particular bond was for a school measure. So we also were able to divide the list between um, those with students or those with children in school and those without. And then we were able to target a message to each of those subgroups, for those who own a home and didn't have kids in school. We need to talk about community engagement and supporting your neighbors and doing the right thing for your community. Whereas those in school, we talked about the benefits, the actual physical benefits their students would receive, and so on. So this targeting turns out to be very important. And we know in marketing in general, direct response marketing, that if we look at the success rate of a campaign, it's 70% list, 20% offer, and whatever's left is creative. And through this kind of targeting, we can find the absolute best list possible. Finally, direct mail is just built into American psyche. The US Postal Service likes to call it the mail moment. When people get home, they go through their mailbox, they sort the stuff that they want to take action on, things they may not want to take action on. Bonus if you can get a postcard on somebody's fridge, that may give you an impression for months. Um, but it's different than other kinds of advertising media in that way. If somebody calls you on the phone, you get a cold phone call. These days, I can tell you, um, consumers act very negatively. If you're a billboard, you're outside advertising, sometimes people just ignore you, right? And they don't get annoyed, but they don't get your message either. So direct mail, at least in the United States, is just built into kind of what we do. It's well accepted, and to the extent that you're giving people offers that have value, it's not only um, not frowned on, it's actually appreciated. So that's why on average, direct mail returns $12 for every dollar spent, according to the Direct Marketing Association. So that's why we might use the tool. And in fact, a lot of people do. We can see that looking at the industry size, that's a $1.7 trillion industry. And this is the extended industry with production, et cetera. But if we look at just first class and marketing mail, first class mail is what you might get if you went to the postal service and you bought a first class stamp. Marketing mail is something that's specific to advertising. The postage rates are a little lower, but it takes a little longer. We'll talk more about that. But if we just look at first class and marketing mail, that's a $65 billion market. And why is that? It's because of the ROI, and it's because there's some messages we just have to deliver in the mail for legal reasons as well. So that's the foundation. If we look at popular, let's look. So popular verticals, legal, collection. Sorry, just preview it just a second. Legal and collection, real estate, business broker, mortgage brokers. These are all the industries that we see very frequently. For if you're a realtor, being able to do a just sold, just listed type of postcard is kind of standard. Refinancing notices, anything we need to reach out and touch a consumer for is tends to be very popular in direct mail, especially you can see this letter for First Home Bank when we have a lot of information to communicate. I mean, even if you could connect with these people via a radio ad or TV ad or something like that, being able to communicate this level of detail, specific rates and payments. First of all, you wouldn't have the information to do that, but even if you did, being able to deliver that level of detail would be very difficult. So the medium suits itself well for these kinds of applications. So why doesn't everyone use it? I mean, they could, but the problem is there are some challenges. First of all, is the lead time. If traditionally, if you wanted to work with a commercial printer, and sometimes you could work with a commercial printer that also does mailing, or you could have a commercial printer and you could have a mail house. So you print the piece first and then it goes to a mail house where you do the mailing piece. I mean, traditionally that takes 7 to 10 days. It could take a couple of weeks to get something out. And if you got a message that you need to reach people with quickly, that just didn't fit. In addition, there's this idea of short runs. A lot of small to medium business, especially, are doing mail campaigns that might only be, a couple hundred pieces or 500 pieces or 1,000 pieces. And that size job is just not enough to interest most commercial printers. They're looking for longer runs. They're looking for 50,000 or 100,000 pieces because that can use up more time on their equipment. Um, and they're set up for each job um, in a traditional commercial printing organization. So for a very short job, it might take just as much time to set it up as it does to run it. On the other hand, there's also the United States Postal Service. The United States Postal Service is very efficient at delivering mail. They deliver 40% of the world's mail. And in the local area, I mean, 95% is overnight. There was a time when I was growing up when people would make fun of the U.S. Postal Service. They would call it snail mail and make fun of the delivery time and things getting lost in the mail. And what we see that today, the performance we see today is very different than that. The U.S. Postal Service has to be very efficient just because of the volume of mail that they deal with. On the other hand, because they are big and efficient, they're a production, logistics organization. Um, there's a lot of rules and a lot of infrastructure, and it's hard to break through sometimes. Plus, direct mail is very technical in nature. If you look at the direct mail manual, the U.S. Postal Service publishes, well, I guess it's digital these days, but when there was a print version, it was a couple inches thick. I mean, there's thousands of pages talking about direct mail, the size of the piece, and where the address has to go, and what the, gaps need to look like between the address and the edge, or the barcode. And um, there is just it's a little overwhelming when you look at the level of technical detail. And thirdly, this is an area of postal discounts. If we're going to send to the mail through the mail, most of the cost is in postage. And so we'd like to get postal discounts when they're available, which requires us to do something called pre-sort. Pre-sort requires sorting the address list and sorting the mail into, carrier route order, bundling it up, putting in trays, putting on tray labels. But that all requires a very expensive piece of software um, that's out of the reach of most small to medium mailers. And even if you could reach the software, it's also very technical. So you might not want to do that for, a mailing you're going to do once a week or even once a month. So these create barriers of sort. The idea of speed, hassle, price, those are the obstacles that keep more people from using direct mail. In this one, we talk about, how do you get started then? I mean, it's got all these benefits, and well, I could share this story. I had this friend who was the vice president of marketing at the U.S. Postal Service. His father owned a little hardware store, and he used to tell his dad, Dad, you should really use direct mail. I work for the post office. The direct mail works. We could help you out. You would help me because I'm at the Postal Service. You'd help and grow our revenue, and we would help you. It would be a great thing for your business and for our family. So Dad didn't do anything about that for a long time. But then one morning he woke up and said, maybe Marty's right. I'm going to go down to the Postal Service and see what they got. So he waited in a line like this one, got up to the counter and said, I want to do direct mail. What have you got for me? And everybody just stared at him. You could hear the sound of crickets. And so that's really the obstacle, is the folks at the desk, the retail desk at the postal service, they want to be helpful and they want to help you do this, but they really aren't set up to help with these kind of tools. So so if we know you need to reach new clients, And direct mail produces returns, but you have these obstacles that are keeping you from being effective. What can you do? And it turns out that we have the solution. It's called Zairmail. It's fast, easy, and reliable. You can takes about 60 seconds to order. You just use as you'll see in the demo, you just select the materials, approve, submit an order. We produce it, and 24 hours, and then you're in the mail. And to the extent required, to the extent that we produce it, we also make sure the address is correct. We run it through the National Change of Address database. We run it through CAS to make sure the address is deliverable. We put a proper barcode on it, and it's all set up to run as efficiently as possible through the U.S. Postal Service. So we see 2 to 3 day delivery times nationwide. So this is how we make direct mail fast, easy, and reliable, so we can get all of the capabilities we talked about earlier in a form that's easy and reliable. So that is especially pronounced if you happen to be offshore. If you need to do printing, mailing, tracking in the United States, then you probably don't have, or you may not have relationships with local providers that are doing that printing, mailing, and tracking. But with a tool like Zairmail, you can reach it anywhere that you can connect with the internet. And once you connect with Zairmail, you can upload a document, upload a list, and approve a proof. And we do the rest. Okay. In terms of the products that are produced, what's most common for us is we do, in terms of formats, postcards, letters, snapback. Snapback, we'll talk more about that. That oftentimes people aren't as familiar with that one, but we'll go into it. We also do collateral if somebody needs to have brochures printed or materials printed that need to be produced but not mailed. You need a
Pero
box
wait
of
lang,
brochures that you would like
tanong ko.
shipped. We can do that as well. We offer a mailing list, and we have this concierge service, which means we're going to do whatever it takes to get you in the mail. Let's look at that. So that the idea comes up, how do you choose what you're going to do? Whether you're going to do a postcard, self-mailer, snapback, letter. Um, and it really boils down to, the cost versus the complexity of the message and the privacy required. So if we want to send mail, we're always interested in minimizing the cost to produce the same results, right? So we often don't want to trade a cost for lower results. But if we can get the same results with a lower cost, all other things being equal, we would tend to do that. So the lowest cost piece that we see is really a postcard. And the reason for that is that a postcard, first of all, there's not as much in a postcard because it doesn't require an envelope. But secondly, the US Postal Service gives postal discounts for a postcard. And we've already mentioned the fact that um, the bulk of the cost in direct mail is in postage. So when you get a discount postage rate, that can be a good thing. So at the same time, postcards have some limitations too. If you look at the matrix here, we have a simple message versus a complex message. And then on the vertical, we have a public message versus a private message. Anything I put in a postcard is going to be like a little billboard in the mail, which is a good thing. I'm going to get an immediate impression. The only limitation is if I want to, first of all, if I have a complex message, a message with a lot of elements to it, it may not fit on a postcard. But secondly, if I have personal information, like if you saw the example earlier of the mortgage mailer where we're calculating payments and stuff, it's more difficult to do that on a postcard, and most people don't want their personal information visible to everybody. With a self-mailer, self-mailer is like an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. Sometimes it's one or two sheets. We'll fold it and tab it. So in that case, you've got a little more space to work with, and a little more privacy, but still not the same privacy you would have with a letter. On the far end, you can see towards the bottom right side, you can see a letter, and a letter provides a completely private message. And you can use multiple sheets, so you can put the most complex message in a letter if you need to. You can still just do a one-page letter, and that works too. But if you need multiple pages, that's not a problem either. The challenge with a letter is we have to get an open, and that can we can get an open if the letter's from somebody that the recipient knows and trusts, or if there's a tagline on the outside, or if it's something that just piques their curiosity. Kind of in the middle, we have listed as a snap pack. A snap pack, we'll see a picture of it in a second, but it's like those packages you get in the mail, like you have a PIN number in, from the bank, or a rebate, something like that. You tear off the edges, you open it up, and that information is available once you unfold it. So with a snap pack, we also get privacy. We have less space to work with, but we still have privacy. But the thing about a snap pack is most people will open it because they associate it with a PIN number or a rebate or something like that. So the open rates tend to be very high. Um, it's a little harder package to find. Most printers don't do it because it requires an additional piece of equipment. But this is really the spectrum we're looking at. Can you do other types of mails? Certainly. I mean, you can get as creative as you want. Sky's the limit. We have all kinds of interesting things we work on, but these are the basic formats. And so you really have to see, look at the idea of privacy and complexity within the context of minimizing cost. And if you have any questions about that, we can help with that. Oh, and there is this issue of postage too. So whether you want to use first class or marketing mail, you can see that in the lower two lines here on this slide. The thing about first class mail is we're going to get 3 days. What we're seeing anyway, we obviously can't guarantee the results of the U.S. Postal Service. Once we deposit it in the mail, it's really up to them. But if we look at our performance across the network, we're seeing 3 days nationwide. We're seeing 24 hours local delivery. We're seeing 3 days nationwide on average. If they can't deliver it, they'll return it to us so we can update our database. And there's a perception when people get first class mail that the message is more important. Marketing mail, the Postal Services, it's what we've well, excuse me for that. Marketing mail is really for marketing messages. Marketing mail is the current name the U.S. Postal Service is trying to use to brand it. Historically, we would call it standard A or even bulk mail. It is the lowest cost for the kind of mailing we would do. But it is going to take 7 to 10 days for delivery. It's best efforts. Sometimes it's faster, sometimes it's slower. It's just whenever the Postal Service gets around to it. And if they can't deliver it, they just recycle it. You won't know what gets delivered and what doesn't unless somebody responds. And that, because they don't have to return it to you, that's one of the reasons why they can offer it at a lower rate. So you can choose between first class or marketing mail. To be honest, I mean, if you're thinking about the kind of mailing we're doing, if you're Visa or MasterCard or American Express and you're sending out 1 million pieces of mail, I mean, the difference per piece between first class and marketing mails probably a dime, 10 cents. But if you're sending out 1 million pieces and you're sending out 1 million pieces a week or something along those lines, then that savings makes a big difference. But if I'm sending out 1,000 pieces or 5,000 pieces, that differential in price does not make a huge difference. And the response rates and the delivery times tend to make it much more preferable to do first class mail, especially if we're doing a postcard, because with the discount postcard rates, we're right about the same price as marketing mail. There's almost no savings at all. So our postcard mailings are almost 100% first class mail. We don't see any marketing mail at all. Well, not at all. We don't see any, but we see hardly any. Most of it's first class mail based on the discounts. All right. So I apologize for that. A lot of detail here. We're going to send you a copy of the recording so you'll have all of this information and be able to take your time and sort through it if you have other questions. But let's dig in and look at a little bit more on these different types of mailing. So first of all is postcards. With postcards, we really have a couple of standard sizes. So we have a standard size postcard, which is either 4 by 6 or 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. The four and a quarter by 5 1/2 sounds like an odd size, but it's really 1/4 of an 8 1/2 by 11 sheet of paper. So that's where that comes from. Um, so we can do either of those formats. We have a jumbo postcard, next size up, either 6 by 9 or 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. Once again, 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 is half of an 8 1/2 by 11 sheet of paper. 6 by 9 historically is size people use for jumbo postcards. We also have something called a sumo, which is 6 by 11 or 5 1/2 by 11. Okay. As I mentioned, the Postal Service offers a discount rate for the standard postcards, 4 by 6 or 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. In the last rate increase, they actually extended that discount to jumbo postcards too. So jumbo postcards are a really great value right now. You get an additional, a bump in the size, more space to carry your message, but you're still paying only a slight premium over a standard postcard. So the most popular postcard we see today is a jumbo postcard and 4/1. And that's when you look at on the line here where it says color, with postcards, we can choose black and white both sides. What we're calling 4/1, which is black and white one side, four colors the other side. In the printing world, four color means full color, right? Because it takes four colors to make up the entire color spectrum. So in terms of shorthand, we usually talk about 4/1, which is four colors one side, or full color one side, black and white the other side, or full color both sides, which is 4/4. Most popular piece we're seeing today is really a jumbo postcard in 4/1. The reason for that is because the sides of the picture, the side of the postcard with the picture, the graphic image, oftentimes we want that in color to pop. But the reverse side, which has an address, there's not as much information or space to play with anyway. So a lot of people opt to have that black and white because it reduces the cost a little bit, but it doesn't seem to reduce the response rates that much. Now, this particular client, Grand Ron Sympathy, is they're in the arts and design is very important to them. So they've got color both sides here, and they've got something called a full bleed, which means they take the image all the way to the edges of the card. The way we do that, when you're printing something, the printer needs to be able to grab the edges of the paper. So the way to do a full bleed is you print the image larger than you want it, and then you put it on a cutter and you trim the edges. Um, so that gives us a really great finished look. On the other hand, it does require an additional labor and some additional material. So it's a little more expensive to have a full bleed postcard. So in the direct mail marketing, we have to ask ourselves, is that bleed going to increase the response rates? And is it going to increase its response rates enough to make up for the additional cost of the card? So in this case, it works very well for Grand Round Symphony, but each client and each audience is going to be a little bit different. We have this idea here of UV coating both sides. Every postcard we produce, unless it's black and white both sides, we're going to be UV coating both sides. UV coating is a thin plastic coating that makes the postcard feel more substantial, thicker and more substantial, but it also protects it from scuffing the mail. Today, with short run mailing, most of that printing is done on a digital press. And with a digital press, when it goes through the automated postal equipment, the little wheels that shoot the cards through can make scuffs on the card. And we spent a lot of years testing different inks, different papers, different coatings, trying to find a way to cure that scuffing. And UV coating is the only way that we've found to do that. You still may get a little bit of scuffing, but it's usually not significant. Um, we offer UV coating on both sides at no additional cost, just because we want our customers to have the best product possible. Most printers don't offer it because it does require additional equipment, additional expense, additional labor. Um, but for us, we don't want to produce a product unless it's the best product possible for you. Next day mailing is available. We can use an indicia or live stamp. An indicia is the little box you can see up here, U.S. postage paid. We'll talk more about that. And we can, if we want to, we can put this in an envelope too. So most of the time we don't do that because we want that immediate impression. But there are times when we might want to put it in an envelope, and we'll talk about that. Here we talk about letters. As you can see from the example here, the advantage to a letter is I can have a very complex message that has personal information that's perfectly targeted or very specific to the recipient. When we talk about letter, we're usually talking about here in the United States anywhere. I know in Europe they use different sizes, but here in the United States, we're using 8.5 by 11 or legal size, which is 8.5 by 14. We can do black and white or four color, unlike a postcard where you can do color one side, black and white on the other. With a letter, because of the equipment that's used, the letter has to be either black and white or four color. You can't have, pick black and white on the back and color on the front. So it's either black and white or it's color. In terms of the envelope, we can use a double window, which is what you see here in the example. With the double window, if I've got a single-sided letter like this, you can see in the upper left-hand corner, you can see the return address and the recipient information. That's printed so it shows through the windows. That saves us a step because we don't have to print on the envelope. Still, we can use a single window envelope. A single window envelope would usually have one window where the recipient information would show through. And then we could have our logo in the top left, or we could leave it blank. I'll see some customers do that. Or it can have a closed face envelope, where we address it on the outside, return address, recipient information. We could put a message. You can see here it says dated material, urgent, do not disregard. This information is all printed on the envelope, in this case on a double window envelope. But we can print on any kind of envelope you choose. We're going to be able to use an indicia or live stamp, just like with postcards, or an action stamp. We'll talk more about that. The one thing here, the one other thing to touch on is this question of a mail merge versus a mail match. So in the technical terms, a mail merge is when we have variable information on the document. So you can see in the body of this letter, it says loan amount, monthly payment, rate, and APR. So these numbers are calculated for each recipient. So in the data that goes into this, the data file for each recipient, we've got the amount of their mortgage, we've calculated the monthly payment, the rate, and the APR. And so for each document, we will put in that personal information for that specific recipient. So every single letter in this batch is going to be different, and each letter will be targeted to the recipient. That's what we call a mail merge, when we put personal information. A mail match is when we have a personalized letter like this, but we don't use a double window. Maybe we use a closed-faced envelope where we have to print information on the outside. In that case, we have to make sure the envelope on the outside matches the contents on the inside. So that step is called a mail match. There is an additional time and effort required for a mail match, so it does cost a little bit extra. Sometimes it's the right thing to do. Oftentimes, if we can do a mail merge and use a double window envelope, as in this example, it keeps our costs a little lower and the response rates are pretty much the same. But you should be aware that that is an option. If we need to do a mail match, we can do that. It takes a little more time, adds a little bit more to expense. This is a pressure seal mailer or a snapback. Snapback is what people refer to them in the industry. And you can see pictures of it on the right. We do, an 8.5 by 11 V fold or a C fold. A C fold would fold in from the edges We have some of those that look like a check. That's pretty popular. We have an 8.5 by 14 Z fold. You can see in these letters, Z fold, C fold, V fold, C fold, have to do with the shape of the folded material, as you can see from the pictures. Um, as I think I mentioned earlier, a lot of people, these come in a lot of different formats. We have some that look like checks, rebate checks, IRS checks. Um, I don't know, just there's a whole lot of variety. Um, And most commercial printers don't offer these, mainly because you have to have these templates. So you have to have a lot of different things on the shelf, unless you can make them. It turns out we can make these templates as well, so as required. But you also need a special piece of equipment because you have to be able to print them, and then you need to be able to press them closed. And most people do not have that equipment. But we do snapbacks every single day. So this is really pretty straightforward for us. Um, and usually with a snapback, the reason for using a snapback is, once again, I'm going to have the personal information inside. It won't be visible till it's open, but also because of the way people are used to seeing this used with PIN numbers, rebates, things like that, we're going to get a very high open rate. Usually we can't guarantee open rates, but what we see is higher open rates with a snapback than with a letter. Um, Mailing lists, we can get, once again, the key determinant of a direct mail campaign is often the list. About 70% of the success rate depends on the list. Um, a lot of our clients have their own list. That's why we don't bundle the list and the letter together, because most of our clients will come and upload their own list. But if you don't have your own list, then we do allow you to order them through the site, or we do have the tools. We offer Axiom for consumer data, which is the largest consumer database in the United States, Dun& Bradstreet for business. And then we have access to thousands of different compiled lists from magazine subscriptions or club registrations or all different kinds of things. And if you're in the financial industry, you're doing auto loans, home loans, banking, things like that. Then we also have access to credit score data. So Experian, TransUnion, Equifax, big three credit reporting data. In that case, we can pull FICO scores and debt to equity ratios and um, bankruptcy filings and lots of different information that might help us target. But we can talk more about that if you have special needs, or special requirements. Please just let us know. We'll help you find the right list for sure. Postage, in our pricing, the postage is always included. So the price you see for Mail is always in the mail. The price includes processing, printing, folding, inserting, addressing, postage, mailing, and tracking all comes together. And any of the other services, oftentimes we'll help people with lists. This is what we call concierge service. You see another slide on that. But we help with lists, we help with formatting, we help with proofreading, and we don't charge for any of that. It's all part of the service. In terms of postage, we have retail postage. Letter is 68 cents for the first ounce. Machinable means that it can go through the U.S. Postal Service equipment, automated equipment. So if you use a bigger envelope or something that's too fat, that wouldn't qualify. But for a regular letter, it's usually 68 cents. Postcard is 53. Those rates are getting ready to go up again. The Postal Service has been raising rates every 6 months for the last 2 years. So the newest Postmaster General seems to feel like that's a good idea. Um, Here in the industry, we're less certain of that. Um, but it's something that a structural element that we need to deal with. Thankfully, the response rates are still fine to justify these postal rates, and we're still at one of the most affordable postage rates in the world at these rates. The postcard is especially a bargain. In a lot of countries, they're paying double or triple those amounts. Um, If we have 500 or more pieces, then we can qualify for pre-sort. And pre-sort is a work sharing discount. By work sharing, I mean, since we sort the mail and we bundle it, we put it in courier route order, et cetera, the Postal Service doesn't have to do that sorting. So because we do that work up front, they give us a discount. So, and that discount ranges, it's not one specific number. It depends on how well the mail sorts down. So you can see first class is between 50 cents, 57, postcard between 36, 30, 39, marketing mails 33 to 39. Um, it's we're gonna do that. We always, in order to do that, we have to run it through the CAS database to make sure it's deliverable. We have run it through the National Change of Address database to see if people have moved. We do the sorting and barcoding, put it in trays and labels, and then we have to submit it to the business mail entry unit, not the retail postage counter we saw earlier, but a special portion of the U.S. Postal Service that's geared up for commercial mail, or that's set up for commercial mail. Um, and the default, if you is just to pre-sort everything that we send. So if you send a piece that's 500, send a job that's 500 more pieces, we'll automatically pre-sort it, and that discount is automatically built into the pricing you receive. If we have between 200 and 499 pieces, then we can still use an indicia, which saves some time, but there's no postal discount. So you're going to pay full retail postage, the numbers at the top. And if it's less than 200 pieces, we can't use the indicia. Once again, this indicia, it's a little box that says pre-sorted standard US postage paid. The advantage to us of using the indicia is we can print it right on the envelope. So it saves time and effort. If it's less than 200 pieces, we can't use an indicia like that, which means we have to put a real postage stamp on every envelope. And if we do that, there's additional cost because we're going to have to pay full retail, but we're also going to have labor to put the stamp on each envelope. So that increases the cost again. So if we're sending the mail, we can send any size you want. There's no minimum. Zero mail will mail even just one piece of mail. But from a price standpoint, you're always looking at for 500 pieces or more to get the best pricing. By the way, there's some volume discounts too. So when you start delivering 20,000, 30,000, 100,000 pieces, there's some volume-based discounting as well. Action stamp is something we offer, which is, the indicias by default, but sometimes people want to use a live stamp. Maybe they can get a better response rate or a better open rate, or a better open rate, which leads to a better response rate. We did a mailing for a business broker recently, where the business broker was trying to reach out to veterinary clinics, and they used a Scooby-Doo stamp on each mailing. They reported really great open rates and response rates. The cost is a little more, but it worked out for them. So the Postal Service has been making artistic, postage stamps like this for 200 years, and they've got an incredible selection. We don't have all of them, but we've got a great selection of additional stamps you can use to set the mood of your mail, increase the response rates, or have more impact. Finally, we can pull all those together. I talked earlier about this idea that you could put a greeting card in the mail. Here we've got a greeting card. In this case, they've put the greeting card together, combined it with an advertisement. But it doesn't have to be. You put the greeting card on a postcard. You can put it in an envelope. You can print on the outside like season's greetings. You can use an action stamp. We can use a handwriting font on the front of it. And what we end up with is a personal greeting, like a Christmas card or a birthday card or something of that nature. And it's a fraction of the cost of a traditional greeting card. If you go into the store, the market near my house, they've got a greeting card section. The other day I was looking at those greeting cards. they're $5, $6, maybe more for some of them, just for the card. Then you have to put a message, then you have to put a stamp, then you have to mail it. Format like this at Christmas time, it'll cost you less than 99 cents um, to get your Christmas greetings out. So it's a great format to consider if around the holidays, around birthdays, special celebrations, invitations to an event. This could work very well. Informed delivery. Informed delivery is a service offered by the U.S. Postal Service. Anybody can sign up for it. You could sign up for it today. All you do is look for USPS informed delivery on the internet. You can put it into your browser. Once you sign up, then you join this base of some 55 million subscribers today, and that's growing on a monthly basis. But if you're a subscriber, what the Postal Service will do is every day they scan the mail that's going to be delivered to your house. So you'll actually receive an email with the picture of the mail that's going to be delivered today. In some cases, the advertisers actually, they've included an additional image, an advertising image that goes with that letter, or they've connected it to an URL so you can click on it and go to a website or response page, something like that. If you sign up for it, informed delivery, so as a consumer, you can get this service for free and you're going to see all your mail. And as I subscribe to it, I think it's a great service. I think everybody should subscribe to it. Well, if I think it's most relevant here if you've got a mailing address here in the United States, but they may come up with an international one. I'm not sure. But also, if you're sending mail, this is a great way to get double the exposure, and the cost is very inexpensive. So we have the way of putting an ad in here for your mailing so that everybody who's signed up for informed delivery, they will see their letter in email. They'll have an ad or a link, and they'll still receive the letter or a postcard. So this is a really powerful new tool that we give you the option of using. Delivery job tracking. Every job that we send out of 500 pieces or more comes with job tracking or delivery tracking automatically. Doesn't cost anything extra. It just comes with the service. Through that, we'll tell you, once you place your order, we'll tell you when the order's processed, printed, mailed, and even delivered. We can look at, the percentage of mail that's been delivered. That may be relevant if you wanted to staff your call center or wanted to know if it was time to send out another piece, anything like that. Concierge service is just something we offer. It's if you have a mail piece and it's not quite the right format, or if you have a list and you need help setting that up correctly, we help with all of those things. We usually don't charge anything extra for it. If I have to add a dedicated engineer or a designer to it, then sometimes there's a cost, but most of the time there's no cost at all. Our goal is to help get you in the mail with the least expense and the least effort possible. And we're very good at doing that. Distributed solution here's the idea that once we send mail, the additional benefit of using a tool like ZareMail is we route your message electronically in the most efficient way possible. And then we produce it local to where it needs to be delivered. In this case, we probably won't produce if you had 500 pieces and they're spread across the United States, we wouldn't produce each one at a different location, but we would send that job to the place where it could be produced most efficiently, and delivery would be most rapid. So we'd like to move the job electronically as far as we can, or digitally as far as we can, and then print it, mail it, and require and use the U.S. Postal Service to close the gap, be able to deliver the last mile. We have this airmail service. If people come to us with special applications or different things they'd like to integrate, we do have the ability to do that. We own all the software, and we've developed this tool so we can customize it any way we like. So we have this idea of intelligent mail. Once again, we have multiple delivery facilities. Um, and we offer a whole bunch of services, but this way distributed delivery is definitely a benefit. And the email confirmation that comes with it. Once again, we're looking at routing here, and depends on what's going to be produced and where it can be produced more efficiently. I mean, there's some other subtleties that happen here too. Imagine this: say I'm in the Baltimore area, and I'm thinking about producing in Baltimore, but it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon in Baltimore, that mail's not going out till tomorrow. But if I produce that mail in Sacramento, I can still get in the mail today. So I get an extra day of delivery time. So we can make trade-offs like that for you. Also, there's no single point of failure, almost unlimited capacity. So it turns out that this is a really great way to structure a production network. Okay. And that brings us to a brand new offering we have called Speedy. Speedy is a desktop application. And you saw Speedy at the beginning. You see at the right-hand side here, the basic idea is that you can go to this URL, www.zermail.com/speedy, and you can download this application. Um, and then what the application does is it puts an icon on your desktop. When you have that icon, if you drag and drop a document on top of it, it'll ask you, do you want to upload this or mail it? You say you want to mail it, it'll select an address and then it'll send the mail. That's it. Just even one piece of mail you can mail from your desktop. The reason why that's important is because the hard part of mailing is not finding a stamp. I mean, all of us probably have a stamp somewhere in our desk. If we don't, we can, here in the United States, you can buy them at the grocery store. I mean, their stamps are everywhere. But the idea that if I want to send a letter, I have to compose a letter, but then I have to print it, fold it, insert it, address the envelope. I have to find a stamp, and then have to get it in a mailbox somewhere. Whereas with Speedy, I don't even have to leave my desk. I just drop the document and we take it from there. We do the printing, folding, inserting, mailing. It's all automated. It's all addressed correctly. You get tracking, and you also get an email confirmation when the mail has been delivered. So all in all, it makes sending a letter as fast and easy as sending an email. And the cost is not much more than a first class stamp, because once again, we talked about postal discounts, so we get some advantages, pricing advantages for pre-sorting and mailing that. We batch it with other letters for the mailing, and we pass it along to you in terms of savings on the rate for the letter. So this really is a great service. I would encourage everybody to download it, give it a try. So that brings us to a demo. Is it, Julie? What do you think, you guys? Is everybody up for a demo? Are you still with me, Kyla? Let's see. We'll check. Okay, I don't see anything in chat. Let's go ahead and do a short little demo. I think it'll only take a couple of minutes. It'll give you a sense for how the tool actually works. So I'm going to click on this, see if this will take us there. Can everybody see this? Let me look and make sure. No, so you're still looking to the slides. How about this? Share. Can everybody see that? So this is the Zairmail site. If you look at the site, when you drive on it, when you type in www.zairmail.com, that's like airmail with the Z on the front. So zairmail.com. You'll see that there's some navigation here in the middle. You can start now is really, it'll take you through a series of questions. have you used direct mail before? Do you already have a piece, etc.? So that is it's kind of like a small expert system that'll help you get started. There's also a video that tells you about the service. But since you've gone through this presentation, you're now an expert on the service anyway. We probably don't need those tools. You can see up here, this is the main navigation bar. We have home, send direct mail, free sample kit, right? Where you can request a sample kit of the material or become a partner. So, and we've also just recently added a button for send a single letter free now. So this is if you wanted to try out Speedy, you could use um, this button to do it. So if I want to send direct mail though, I click on this, open a free account. In this case though, I don't have to open a free account because I already have an account. So let's go back. We'll do here. So you can see it's pretty easy to do that if you want to, but I can just log in and I'm going to, so need an account. You can still use the login button, need an account, click here. And I'm going to log into my own account. This menu here, you wouldn't see this if you're just logging in. That's an administrative menu, but you would see this. Once you log into your account, you're going to see just these 3 layers of options. So send direct mail, order print products. Print products are any kind of collateral we print that doesn't need to be mailed. If you want to produce some brochures and have them put in a box and shipped to you, then you would use this. Purchase a mailing list is really Dun& Bradstreet or Axiom, right? So this is where you might buy a mailing list if you didn't have one, or holiday cards. Administration is activities that support things like direct mail. So we upload and manage our documents, upload and manage lists, or check pricing. Check pricing is really just like a little calculator. So you can just put in your format and the specifics, and we'll tell you what it's going to cost. Then finally, actions, we can do check order status, reorder from previous order, and update our user profile. This is where we might have our address information, contact information. If we want production proofs, all of that stuff is available here, right? So we have addresses, we store multiple addresses, billing information, notifications. As this product is printed and mailed, we can get notifications along the way. Those notifications can be email or they can be text to a cell phone, right? Business reply envelope information. We don't have anything set up here. And then of course, just log off when we're finished. So that's the basic environment that we're working with. If we want to send direct mail, well, there's a couple ways to do it. Either I can do send direct mail, it's just going to prompt me, or oftentimes I'll actually upload my document first. So I'll do upload and manage a document. Click on this, and you can see there's a gallery of documents here. So if I wanted to upload a new one, I just click here, I drag and drop it, and it would add it to the gallery. Right? That's simple. In this case, we don't have to do that because we've already got our documents uploaded. Okay, so back to main menu. Then I would typically go in, I would upload my list. We've got one list here, but if we wanted to upload a new list, voila, we just drag and drop it on here, and it's going to give us the option of mapping it out. The list file itself has to be in CSV format, which is a common to limited text file. If you have your list in Excel, it's pretty easy to convert. You just do File, Save As, select CSV from the pull down, and you've got a CSV list that can be uploaded. And we'll save your whole library of lists here and documents. So with all of that information, it becomes very easy to send direct mail. Just click the button. It's going to tell you about the pieces you need. After you've seen the screen once, you probably don't need it again. So you could probably click the button. They don't show this page. We continue. Okay. It's going to offer to us to, it's going to say which piece do you want to use? Let's go ahead and grab a postcard. Okay, jumbo postcard, 5.5 by 8.5. As I said, our most popular format is jumbo postcard 4/1. This is already set up for that. That's because the jumbo postcard now has a discount postage rate, just like the smaller postcard, but you're going to get a lot of more space to work with. Here, if you see, if we mouse over it, it's going to show you what it looks like. Okay. So you like that, you push continue. It's going to give you an option of selecting a list. You might have, depending on what you've uploaded, you might have, 25 or 30 different lists to choose from. Here, we've just uploaded one that we can use as a sample. Here, you can see what the address is going to look like in the envelope. We can map it to a list. The thing about lists is that it used to be a limitation. Everybody's list is kind of a different layout. And it used to be a limitation that you would force people to use certain columns and certain formats to get the mapping right. But here, all we've done is we've created this tool that you can actually go into the list and you can pick these fields. Like, for example, say if I put PIN number instead of full name, you can see how that looks there. But of course, that's not right. So full name. So we're going to put it here. So we can map out our addresses, how we want them to look. By the way, since I uploaded this separately, I've already done the mapping, so I really can just click continue here. I don't really have to worry about that. The return address, I'm going to select here. You saw from our profile, we've got a couple, but this is our return address. I'm going to continue. Return address node, I'm going to tell it not to use it because it's already on the postcard, but if it wasn't on the postcard, the system could actually add it for you at this point. Okay, so now what it's doing is it's going through and taking that postcard and generating final proof. So you can see what it looks like. These are restricted postal areas. This is areas that the Postal Service wants to use first for an indicia for postage or for the address and the barcode. We can turn those off. You can see what that looks like, right? So this is just a template to help you see, where these areas are going to use. By the way, this is part of that concierge service too. If you send through a postcard or letter and it doesn't line up quite right, address, we'll make those adjustments for you. We'll make everything fit. We'll make the address fit, the indicia fit. If it changes significantly, we'll run it back by you to get your approval. But we're always just going to make it work for you. So it's fast and easy. Sometimes we have clients who'll upload a spec pack and ask us to make it a letter, and we just automatically do that. That's part of the process. Okay. Continue. No, we don't want responses. You probably won't see this option either. Here on this sheet, you get options, the date you'd like the order mailed. This is a default date. If you want it mailed sooner, you could do that. You could ask it for next day delivery, but it's going to charge you extra to do that. So if it's usually best to pick the default date, it's going to, have the least possible cost. In this case, we can only choose first class mail. The reason why this comes out is because it's a postcard, and choosing standard A for a postcard like this just doesn't make sense, really. Given the difference in cost, you're going to get better service with first class mail, and it's going to be about the same cost. You can see we try to help make some of these decisions for you. We talked earlier about complexity and the rules, so we're doing our best to simplify things. If you wanted to use one of those Indicia's default, if you want to use a live stamp, or we have clients that want to use a live stamp because they want it to make it look more personal. Or if you want to use one of these, action stamps or holiday stamps, you can pick those. Informed delivery. You can pay slightly extra to get an informed delivery. Honestly, that's a bargain. I think it's $60, and you're going to expose potentially to 50 million more people. Of course, you're not going to have 50 million on your mailing list, but the members on your mailing list who are subscribed, will be able to see it in the mail. UV coating, use both sides, of course, is no charge. We've got standard paper. We can do different kinds of papers. If you wanted an envelope, we talked about that. Here, whether it's a postcard, whether it's full bleed or not. Variable QR code, you probably won't use this option. We only have one or two clients do that. But anyway, order name, we can give it a name if we want to, but that's really optional. We can continue. This is, you'll see as we go through, most of these things are set up so you can just go continue, continue, continue. You just keep pressing that button and it's just going to work out. Okay, so, oh, and we do have, I didn't mention before, but we do have this idea of we could change currency. So you could do an Canadian dollar, US dollars, Canadian dollars, euros, or British pounds. In addition, down here, you can see the Google language, Google Translate. So you could see this site in multiple languages. So for example, if you wanted to see it in Filipino, we could, what's it going to give us? Yeah, so we can see information here. And it's usually the stuff that's in the page, not necessarily the stuff that we're producing. Oh, but here, those have been translated too. Um, or let's see if we can get something. Tajik. Oh, you can see that. That's. I guess that would be helpful if you knew how to read that. But here, for me personally, um, English works best. There you go. If you needed somebody who was going to, if you had a supervisor who was going to approve this, or you needed a client to approve it, you could do a finish later and you could save this order, right? You could save this order and they could come back and approve it later. But if not, you just approve. It's going to ask you for information. Here you see we support Visa, MasterCard, American Express, corporate account. Um, oh, well, this is ACH bank transfer or a wire transfer. Um, in this case, it looks like it's set up to PayPal. Not going to use that. This is a live system too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cancel out of here. Usually I would do a corporate account, but I don't have the corporate account number here. So anyway, if I want to continue, I would just put in a form of payment here. I would just click continue and the order would be submitted. So I'm going to cancel out of here. If I went through and submitted that order, then I can go into check order status. I would see it there, and then I could track it as this process printed, mailed, and delivered. And that's it. I mean, we try to make this process. We talked about that direct mail manual, that 2-inch book, and we've taken that and made it faster, easier, and more reliable. So that's it. I mean, um, that's what we do for you. Let's see here. We're going to go back. Oh, here we go. All right, Kyle, how are you? Let's see. What do I have on here? I'm trying to, you guys, trying to find the bar so I can share again. But it's giving me a different kind of view here. Let's see. How about this? Share screen. And then we're going to go back to this, I think. All right. Oh no, though we've got us on. Sorry guys. Share. No matter how many times I do this, stop recording. Hmm. Should be a new share. Pause. Remote apps, your screen sharing. I'm just trying to get the right window. So let's see if we got this here. So I'm sharing video meeting info. All right, go ahead. I'm gonna stop that sharing. I'm gonna go here, share screen, and then I'm gonna pick this one. Oh, we're back. Sorry about that. So we've done the demo. The final thing here to talk about is the affiliate program. The affiliate program is a program where if you sign up as an affiliate, remember where it says become a partner on the main website page, become a partner, you click that button, you sign up, and then you use that link to share with clients or other people who might use their mail. If they sign up using your link and they do a mailing, we'll give you a 5% commission on that mailing. So if you're working with clients and helping them do direct mail, this tool will help you deliver direct mail programs for them more effectively. But also, if they sign up using your link, you'll also get an additional commission out of the deal too. So we think it's a double win, right? It's a win for your clients and a win for you. So I would encourage everybody to sign up for that if you can. And then in addition, we have the Direct Mail Journal, www.directmailjournal.com is our blog. There's lots of great information there. And then we do have a monthly newsletter. So I would encourage you to get on that list as well. And we'll send you out. We have some fun video clips to go out for holidays. But other than that, tips on small business marketing, on mailing, on business planning, all kinds of interesting things. It would probably be not probably it would be a great use of your time if you wanted to sign up for that. I would encourage it. Um, and that's what we have. The solution is here is Airmail. Um, there's Speedy. He'd love to help you out too. Oh, and that's Maggie. Maggie's with Speedy. So in this case, the mail delivery guy gets as a as a as a dog that's a pet, he's not getting chased by the dog, which is a great thing. So real mail made fast and easy. Mail's the solution. Does anybody have questions you'd like me to address? All right, everyone. I'm looking at the chat box. Um, looking at the chat box, I don't see any questions that we haven't addressed. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. I know that you know that your time is important. You probably have lots of things to do. I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us, learn more about Zairmail. If there's anything that we can do to help, um, we're here. When we'd love to help you out, we'd love to help you, you know, be more effective using cloud-based marketing tools. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.